welcome to the Wine Glass, and today we're going to be talking about brand establishment and marketing. Now, wine is one of those products that isn't heavily advertised. There's really only two brands that I can think of that advertise through TV commercials, and that's going to be Kim Crawford Sauvignon Blanc and Woodbridge. So if you've never seen these commercials before, let me give you a little breakdown of these commercials. So for the Kim Crawford Sauvignon Blanc, there's these three ladies, they're coming down a restaurant, one of them's carrying the bottle, they're all looking super hot, and she twists off the cap and the cap goes flying and the other friend catches it and it looks like a very 007 James Bond Avengers moment and looks really cool. And they get to the table and they put it in the ice and they all have their wine and they're drinking it and they're all looking super cool. And it's this Kim Crawford Sauvignon Blanc. And then let's get into the Woodbridge commercial. So there's two that I remember. One of them is this lady's looking through some old photos, and whether it's her friend or her sister or family member comes in, she's like, hey, you want a glass of wine? So they sit there, they're drinking wine, they're looking at the old photos, they're laughing, you know, sharing memories, and it's really nice, and this is Woodbridge. And then we have the other Woodbridge commercial where it's all these friends, they're sitting outside, and they got this whole beautiful spread, and it starts to rain. So then they're running and they take cover under their kids' play area that has like a roof. So they're sitting there and they're like, wait, the wine! So they run back, they grab the bottle, and they run back to the little shelter. And they're pouring the wine, they're laughing, having a great time, talking about old times. So those are the three commercials that I really remember ever seeing on TV. I don't really see advertisements for pretty much any other wine. So if it's not heavily marketed, why do we always know wine brands? That is because of their brand establishment. So a lot of brands, the way that they really establish themselves in the market is they have a variety of products. They make sure that their labels are recognizable and unique, and they are in a certain price range, and they make themselves known in that price range. So let's take Woodbridge. Let's talk about Woodbridge for a second. So everybody knows Woodbridge. Very simple name, Woodbridge, put it together, Woodbridge. Super easy name to remember. The labels all look the same. So there's that uniformity between all of them. You look at the label, you go, oh, that's a Woodbridge bottle. And the great thing about Woodbridge is that they have a variety of wines. They have red wines, they have white wines, they have kind of like the pink rosé kind of wines as well. So if you drink their Cabernet Sauvignon or you drink their Merlot and you want to try a white wine, well, you know you like Woodbridge. You've established that bond with the brand. It's in your price range, so you're most likely going to try Woodbridge white wines. So that is how they establish themselves. Their labels are easily recognizable, the name is easy to remember, and they've established themselves in their price point. Now, the thing especially about the price point is that if you drink Woodbridge and you want to try a white wine, you're not going to be going for like Dom Perignon, which is going to be super outside of that price range that you stick to. You're probably not going to be drinking a white wine that's going to be $30 if your red wines are anywhere between 5 to 12. So that is that important part of your brand establishment and where you are known in that price range. So everyone who's starting out, or people in general, really like Woodbridge. They love the price, they love the wine. It's there. They've established themselves. So that is one way that they really help with their marketing. Now, some of the things that you do see for marketing for wines, you'll see a couple advertisements maybe in like magazines. They do have their own magazines, such as the Wine Spectator, and they do advertise. I know the Wine Spectator has different versions for different things. Like I know they have one for whiskey, I know they have one for cigars. So sometimes they do advertise their wines in those as well. So print media is going to be the more commonly used. And a really, really big thing that wine producers and makers are doing now is social media. That is a huge way that they are marketing themselves. I've seen more ads for wines through Facebook, Instagram than I have on TV, radio, print, any other form of media. So social media has been a really big thing for winemakers. So that is the major way that they are marketing themselves. But I want to talk about my little empty bottle collection that I have here. And these are all wines that I found that have very interesting labels, interesting shapes, that marketed themselves in a way that I just couldn't part with the bottle. It was just too interesting. So let's talk about first the Dry Creek Vineyards Endeavour bottle. Now the great thing about this is that everything is etched on. The only paper label is this label right here. Other than that, everything on this bottle is etched in. So it's really cool. You can kind of wash it and you won't have to worry about the label kind of fading out. Like I said, the only label part is this right here, which that could fade out, but everything else, that's not going anywhere. So I thought that was a really interesting way that they did that. And they kind of have the information about the wine kind of scattered about within the schematics for this boat that they have here. So that was a great way. So Dry Creek Vineyards has themselves established as a nautical themed brand. Why not have your information hidden about the schematics for a boat? That was a great marketing decision that they did. It's a beautiful bottle. People are more enticed to keep it, and it sticks to their established brand. Now let's move on to Freakshow. So I have their 2 bottles here. They do have many more, but these are the 2 that I've had so far. And this is the Petite Petit, and then this is their Zinfandel. The labels are gorgeous. For some people it may be a bit busy. There's a lot going on in the labels, but the labels are gorgeous. The color saturation is amazing. It's super vibrant, and they always have a centerpiece in the middle. So for Petite Petit, you have the 2 elephants. For their Zinfandel, you see the fire breather. It's just a really interesting way for them to market themselves. And then, as you can see, the label pretty much goes all the way around the bottle. And then you get to this part, which is where their information is. It's a ticket stub to the Freakshow. Great way to stay within your brand. The brand's called Freakshow, why not make it a ticket stub? That was a great decision that they decided to make. And just also, the rest of the label is kind of matte, but the centermost part is glossed. So when you go with it with light, you see the shine. So it sticks out even further from the rest of the label. And once again, just like the way Dry Creek did, they hide the ABV right here in the headline of a newspaper. So that was a really great way that they incorporated that Freakshow aspect into their label. From the ticket stub to the centerpieces, it's just a gorgeous bottle and great marketing. Freakshow, super easy name to remember. The labels are so unique and so out there that it's not going to be an easy label to forget. You're going to see that, oh, that's Freakshow, I know that label. That was a great brand establishment and great marketing that they've done with their bottles. Now let's get into Ye Olde Buckshack that I have right here. I do have their Bourbon Barrel Aged Zinfandel and their Bourbon Barrel Aged Cabernet Sauvignon. First of all, compare the shapes and the size of this bottle, these bottles, to these bottles. These are like the more traditional shaped bottles. Look at these. They're small. They're more wide. They look like an old whiskey or bourbon bottle. They don't look like wine bottles. And that is what got my attention. Not the color of the label, which was a great choice. You know, the 2 bourbon barrel aged things, they didn't put it as the same color label to be like, this is bourbon barrel aged. They kept it with 2 separate colors, kind of like a creamy white old paper look and like a maroon kind of wine color. They kept it separate, so you know just by the shape, because the other bottles from Buckshack, like their small batch Cabernet, looks like this size bottle. It's like a normal bottle with a twist cap on top. But you know these are their bourbon barrel aged wines just because of the bottle. That is what caught my eye with these wines, and I thought it was really interesting. Now, another thing is that they make sure that every other aspect of the label looks the same. You have the stag up top, the way that they write Buckshack. It's all the same on all of their labels. So that's how they keep their brand together, so you know, hey, this is all Buckshack, but they do something different so that you know this is Buckshack, this is also Buckshack, but this is a little different. So you can definitely see the difference. I thought it was a really interesting choice because it looks like, you know, all you need is like the little handle here and then like the little netting on the bottom and that cork, and it's like you see in movies that they and they drink. That's what it looks like, and I just found that to be really cool. So let's move on to this beautiful bottle right here, the Cotes. This wine brand did an excellent job of using their Cotes de Rose name. Now, first of all, interesting shape, very recognizable. It's gonna stick out from your traditional bottle shapes. It almost looks, it's like a Pinot Noir bottle, but like taller and more slender, more feminine, kind of soft. But one of the things that I love the most about this bottle, the bottom is a rose. They used their name Cotes de Rose and they literally put a rose on the bottom of the bottle. That was so interesting and a great way to make your bottle unique. It still stands just fine, just like any other bottle would, but why not make something interesting with your bottle, just like the etching in the Dry Creek? Why not put a rose? Cotes de Rose was a great way to use your name and use the brand's name and market it into something that makes the bottle unique. And another thing, this is the top of their bottle. It's not a cork, it's not a twist top, it's literally, it's glass. So their whole thing is glass with a little silicone piece. So now they can advertise themselves and market themselves as if they're more environmentally friendly because you don't have to throw out an aluminum part, you don't have to throw out a cork, everything is glass, everything's recyclable. So that was a really, really interesting choice to market themselves because they can also market themselves as a more environmentally friendly and sustainable brand. So that was really cool. I just love the way that they put the rose in the bottle. And this was filled with a Pinot Noir. So when you're looking at the bottle, when it's full of that red wine, the rose just sticks out even more. Excellent choice with their marketing. Now we're gonna move on to the Federalist here. And they use one of the oldest marketing tools in the book. Limited edition. So the wine hasn't changed. The bottle hasn't changed. The label has. The label now is limited edition. And it hasn't changed by much. Benjamin Franklin's still there, the eagle's still there, still says made in the United States of America, the Federalist, everything else is still the same, but they kind of put that American flag kind of fading in. That makes the label limited edition. This was a limited edition label that they came out with for the 4th of July. But here's the thing about limited edition, small production, limited production. Now there's that little thing in the back of your mind that says, I need it all. I need to collect them. I'm never gonna get them again. They're limited edition. When are they gonna come back? I don't know. I wanna collect them all. It was one of the oldest tricks in the marketing book. Because whether it's trading cards versus die-cast models or wine bottles, everyone wants to complete a set, a limited edition set. So that was a really interesting way that the Federalists marketed themselves, and of course for the 4th of July, Independence Day, of course the Federalists, why not? Add American flag, and then now you have a limited edition label, perfectly in season for the 4th of July, the most American sounding brand. It works out great, and it's a great way to market. I kept the bottle just because of the limited edition label. I don't know when it's coming back, and I really liked the label. I thought it was very pretty. I like the way they faded in the American flag. So it's a great way to keep your bottle, to make sure that people still keep your bottle. Now let's move on to, last but not least, the Tall Dark Stranger. Now once again, just like the Cotes de Rose, like the Buck Shacks, it has a very interesting shape. I honestly thought it was an olive oil bottle. Because you know when you're at the supermarket, people are like, oh, I don't want this anymore, and they kind of just put it back on the shelf. I literally thought it was an olive oil bottle that nobody wanted anymore. And then I saw Malbec, and I had to take a double take. It was a wine bottle. That's really interesting. Tall Dark Stranger. Now that's a name you don't forget. How many times have you heard, oh, I'm looking for a tall dark stranger in my life? Well, that tall dark stranger for me is that bottle of wine. That was a very interesting way to use a very commonly used phrase. It's a label you're not really gonna forget. It's very pretty. It's a phrase that everybody knows, and the shape sticks out from the rest. Imagine just having these two next to each other, right? Say it wasn't a limited edition label, it was just a regular label. Which one catches your eye first? The interesting shape, or the shape that you see all the other wines in? The interesting shape's gonna catch your eye. So for all the bottles that have really interesting shapes, that was their great decision for their marketing department. Do something a little different, make it stick out. Now for the labels that are beautiful, whether the bottle's etched in, or it's limited edition, just gorgeous artwork. All of these bottles right here are an excellent example of marketing. You're establishing your brand. These two, you know it's Buckshack. It says Buckshack, it has the buck on top, you know Buckshack. Freakshow, it's a circus theme, you know it's Freakshow. You know, the Cotes de Rose has a rose on the top, it's got a rose on the bottom, you know it's Cotes de Rose. These are great ways that they've established their brand and made interesting marketing just from their bottles. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Remember to drink responsibly, and happy drinking!